Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's show. Listen, the second half of today's program is going to be some incredible content. We're going to be sharing really special insights of what we believe we can expect next in America based on some pretty revelatory articles that we have found. But right now, you may be asking, where in the world are you? I'm going to go ahead and back up, Andrew. Andrew's holding the camera, and I'm going to show you where I am and actually just how large this room is. So it's going to sound echoey, all right? So right now, I am in my home, and I'm standing in the next studio for IGBY, International Ministries, where we will host the Zach Drew Show. So it also is a studio, but maybe you're quickly familiarizing yourself with the scenery around me, and it's also a garage. It's my garage here at my house. We've been filming for the last, probably about a year now in my den, or my little family room, and this here is going to give us about 3 times the space. It is going to be incredible. I'm so excited for what's happening, and let me tell you right now that I'm holding a letter in my hand. And God is in this thing. I'm going to share something with you that's absolutely incredible. And what's going to make this dream that the Lord has instilled within our hearts a reality very, very soon. And I'm going to present to you an incredible opportunity for you to partner with this ministry once I read to you what is in this letter. So, like I said, this room is about 30 feet by probably about 30 feet by 25 feet. And we got 15 to 17 foot ceilings. We're going to put lighting trusses. We're talking about a 3-camera, fully functional studio, preparing us for the opportunity to go on national syndicated television, but one step at a time. Because once we get to this studio done, then we're going to have to be building the next phase, which is a nationally syndicated program on DirecTV, on Dish Network, everywhere. I believe it's coming. So this all started, and go ahead and just pan really quickly, just so they can kind of see the size of the garage really quickly. So just kind of pan. That actually door leads up into my home, and so the new set will actually be over here. I'll probably have a desk right here, and I'll have a couple of chairs going this way. And it'll be kind of like, not necessarily a Johnny Carson, or that's old school. Who's the new one? Jimmy Fallon. Jimmy Fallon, and he's going to sit next to me, Andrew Bellers. And it's just going to be an absolutely beautiful set. I'm going to paint the picture for what it's going to look like, because I'm telling you right now, you're seeing a garage right now. I don't see a garage. I see a fully finished, beautiful, top of the line, industry standard television studio. God is doing something, and only the Lord can do this. A couple of weeks ago, I mentioned on the program that I felt that now is the time to expand the ministry. Now is the time to get bigger equipment and better equipment, preparing us for the season that I believe the Lord is taking us into. And I remember I was sitting out on my front porch with Andrew Bellers, and I just said, Andrew, and I believe it was the Lord that placed it in my heart. I said, Andrew, what if we actually took over the garage and literally built a fully functional, real television studio, and not just a small 1-camera DSLR YouTube show? And I didn't know how it was going to happen. I'm building up to something. This is so awesome. I didn't know how it was going to happen, but I felt the Lord's prompting that that's what we were supposed to do. And I might have even jumped the gun. I even told Andrew during that show, Andrew, I might be jumping the gun here, but I think that we need to start buying new equipment. I think we need to move to the garage, which was an absolutely impossible thing to do. Just to get a 1-camera more, in addition to what we already have, our equipment, I told the audience it was probably going to be $6,000. Once you get 2 cameras, you increase that by a few $1,000s, but once you go to a 3-camera shoot, which I believe we're going to do right now in the next couple of months, we're going to actually purchase all the equipment. Once you go to a 3-camera shoot, you're talking about a fully different type of show. Different equipment, you have to get new equipment, more lights. Whenever you have a 3rd camera, I'm talking about an establishing shot, more lights, a new switchboard. And so to say that the Lord was going to do that was a total act of faith, because we do not have that money in the bank account of this ministry. But I spoke it out in faith. I believe, Lord, that even though the world is going through a crisis, and this is just how the Lord works, I think you're doing something great at this ministry. And so let me tell you my story. I got a letter in the mail this week, and the letter said it was from an attorney's office, and I'm like, oh no, what did I do, right? I don't get many letters from attorneys. So I opened it up, and it was actually great news. But I was still skeptical, and I think you'll realize why. I think most people would be. This is a letter from Mark Eskinder, and I asked if I could use his name, and it's okay. He's an attorney at law in Beverly Hills, California, 90210. And I got a letter this week, and it says this: Dear Zach, I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'm going to read just a few lines. I have been watching your show for the last several months, and do keep up the good work. You recently expressed a desire to expand and upgrade your show to the next level. I think that I may be able to help you do that. I am the trustee of several charitable trusts, and each year I try to help those organizations which enrich our community. If you are interested in a 501c3 charity, please feel free to call my personal cell phone number. So if I got this letter, an attorney from Beverly Hills 90210, I'm being scammed. Next he's going to start asking for $1 million to send off to a Nigerian princess or something. I mean, it's just like I'm getting scammed somehow, some way. So as a researcher, before I even called the guy back, I'm like, I've got to research this thing. And it's totally legit. I had an hour conversation with him on the phone, and forgive me, Mark, for letting you know that I thoroughly researched you, but it sounded too good to be true at first. And yes, I went to California.gov, saw that he was a registered attorney for the last 42 years, passed the bar in 1978, and everything. So I saw he was legit. So I gave him a call back. And he told me a story. He said, he told me that he was watching the show a couple of weeks ago. And he said he wanted to get involved. And this is what he said. He said, I'm going to match donations for your new studio. He goes, I'm going to match it up to $10,000. And he's going to do it in 2 phases. Whenever I raise the first $5,000, he's sending the ministry a check for $5,000. Whenever I raise that second $5,000, he's sending a second check for $5,000. We will have, I believe in the next couple of weeks, I believe to hit that first $5,000 by the end of this week. Listen, before I even went on the air, I was just telling people what's going on. And we're already $3,000 away from the first $5,000 installment. And let me just thank Carol right now from California as well, who gave $1,000 towards this new garage studio. And I also want to give a special shout out to Dennis and Jana, otherwise known as Dad and Mom, for also partnering with this ministry. I'm so encouraged by you guys. They also gave a donation of $1,000. So we're $3,000 away from the first $5,000 when Attorney Mark is going to send us his first $5,000 check. And remember, he'll do it up to $10,000. Now, I told him exactly what we would do, how we would fully rig out this thing, and it came out to this: for a 3-camera shoot, which is totally different than a 2-camera. We're bypassing the extra camera, we're bypassing the 2-camera, and we're going to a fully 3-camera shoot, which will literally set us up, like I said, to go on national television. The equipment alone, and I'm not talking about the set design, and we're going to have to run some heating and cooling out here, is going to be about $14,000, okay? And the rest of the $6,000 is going to go towards, well, all of the set design. We're going to build most likely we're going to be building a platform for the studio. We're going to actually build, if you can actually, I'll come back here, right, coming on back here. From this corner wall, way wrapping around, we're going to take down these garage beams because we're not going to need them. And I'm going to, the first backdrop, we're going to put things in front of this too. We're going to just put, it's going to reduce all of the noise in this garage. Is going to be a very thick velvet curtain that goes all the way around. So you won't even be able to see. Nobody will know we're in a garage. And then this wall over here, we're likely going to actually brick it. And it'll be beautiful brown brick. And the desk will sit on, we're either going to carpet that section of the garage or put a platform there. So $14,000 of equipment, and there's the other $6,000 for the heating and air and complete set design, and we'll be ready to rock and roll. Now, I asked Mark. I was having Holy Ghost goosebumps. The Lord is doing something right now. And I just want you to be a part of this thing. And I asked Mark, I said, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for doing this. And he said, well, first off, Zach, he said, it's not my money. He actually is over about 8 different trusts or 8 different, estates where someone passed away in the Beverly Hills area. And they didn't have anybody to leave their money to. So they left their money for Mark to handle. It's not actually Mark's money, but he handles the money. And they're basically just like, listen, we're going to give you the money. Be a blessing. Be a blessing in communities. And I said, Mark, I said, thank you. He said, listen, it's not my money. And once we do this, he's going to tell me what trust it actually came out of and the people's names. And we're going to thank them and honor them. But he said, don't thank me, Zach. He said, thank God. Thank Jesus is what he said. He said, as I was watching your show 2 weeks ago, and he said this to me. He said, Zach, I'm a Catholic. He's a cradle Catholic. He was born and raised in the Catholic Church. He's still Catholic. I'm telling you right now, the man loves Jesus. He loves Jesus. And I don't want to get too much into this, but just for sake of, I didn't ask Mark, but a few years ago, he had prostate cancer. And it was actually during that time in his life where he came to really know the Lord in a real and powerful way. And so he's saying, and he told me, Zach, I'm not saying that God always just talks to me, right? So you got this Catholic, wealthy, Beverly Hills 90210 lawyer reaching out to me saying, listen, I'm not claiming that God talks to me verbally. He said, but I was watching your show, and he goes, don't thank me. That's what I'm going back to. He said, don't thank me. He said, thank God, thank Jesus. Because whenever I was watching your show, he said, I felt like the Lord said to me, I'm quoting him, you need to give to this boy. You need to give to this boy. And he called me, and here we are right now. And it's just so crazy. Andrew, I'm looking at you, man. I'm looking at you behind the camera. Whenever I said it last Thursday, I thought to myself, Lord, I have no idea how you're going to do this. No idea. And the next day, it's like, I still have no idea how you do it, but I'm going to talk about it on the air. I'm going to say, this is what we're going to do. And I have we are a small ministry. We do not have some big, and listen, $20,000 might not sound like a lot to you, or, even just the local church who's raising $1 million for a new facility, or, other people that have $50 million TV studios. $20,000 is not a lot to you, but it is a lot to us, and it will fully set us up. And he said, the Lord told me to give to you. So, and I was in the, not to get, I'll tell you, I was in the shower this morning. I do still shower, even though we're all quarantined. And, but anyway, so I was in the shower this morning, and I was like, Lord, should I really just dedicate half of today's show? Or should I just hold off on it and do an entire half an hour or 1 hour show? And I really felt like he was saying, start it now. Start it now. So that's what I'm doing. We don't have the full telethon. We don't have the singers. We don't have all the beautifulness of everything. I'm just standing before you with a man who has a heart for the Lord and a calling from God to be a watchman. And I'm standing in this studio knowing that the equipment that we buy ultimately will mean more people can hear. And I believe the Lord has entrusted us with not only being watchmen for the body of Christ, but to present the gospel of Jesus Christ. And I felt like he was saying, no, Zach, you need to get in your garage and start it today. Listen, I'm not telling you, listen, I'll tell you this as well. This is another thing that popped in my head this morning. Everybody's getting a stimulus check. Some people have, if you just got a stimulus check and your income hasn't been affected, you need to donate to Ministries right now. Listen, it's a stimulus package, right? To stimulate the economy, which is a wonderful thing. We need to stimulate the economy. But to truly stimulate the economy, you've got to, and I'm going to take it spiritual, you've got to stimulate the spiritual economy. I believe, and I'm not just saying this ministry, but it was just a thought, and I want to claim it for this ministry too. But right now, you need to be considering in this time, in this hour, donating to the ministries with the pulpits that are facing the right direction. Or in this case, the desk that's facing the right direction. And messages that you can trust. Messages that are for this hour. Messages that encourage and edify the body of Christ and uplift the cross so that Jesus can draw all men to him. We are in an incredible moment right now. And I'm asking every single person to get involved. Mark is going to match it up to $10,000. The attorney at law in Beverly Hills, 90210. And we've already raised $2,000 towards this without even doing this video yet. We have $8,000 more to go. Match it for the $10,000, and we can build this studio. Get involved. We need you now more than ever. Just go to ZachDrewShow.com and click that bright orange donate button. You can donate there either through Tithely or through PayPal. And ask the Lord, what is a sacrificial gift? It's like oftentimes we hear pastors say, well, 10%, 10%, 10%, which is a tithe unto the church, but it's supposed to be a sacrificial gift. Meaning, for the single mom giving 10% to the church, that doesn't make a lot of money. That's a sacrificial gift. It's costing something. And it's a sweet aroma unto the Lord. But for some people, that 10%, and I'm not asking for tithe right now, that 10% is not necessarily a sacrificial gift. It's a tithe, but then offering has to play into it after that. And I'm asking you right now that you would consider giving a sacrificial gift, a generous gift, to the furthering of the gospel. Do it now. You can go online, ZachDrewShow.com. You can also write us at IGBY, P.O. Box 797, Decatur, Illinois, 62525. I am so incredibly excited to hear from you and to give you a terrific report next Friday on this. At this time, go and do it now. Go and do it now. Partner with us. At this time, I'm going to transfer back into the old television studio, and I'm going to give you an update on some news that took place this week that's going to shock you. It's absolutely crazy, and it's going to show you where I believe we're heading next in America. Stand with us today.
And now for a quick segment on the news. Are you familiar with the term limited hangout? The definition has nothing to do with quarantine, self-isolation, self-distancing, and it has nothing to do with limiting the time you hang out with anyone. The actual definition and history behind the word limited hangout is actually much more serious than that. You see, a limited hangout or partial hangout, according to the former special assistant to the deputy director of the Central Intelligence Agency named Victor Marichetti, he said this of the definition, quote, "It is spy jargon for a favorite and frequently used gimmick of clandestine professionals." We're very familiar with this. Think about Pizzagate, right? When their veil of secrecy is shredded and they can no longer rely on a phony cover story to misinform the public. They resort to admitting, sometimes even volunteering, some of the actual truth, while still managing to withhold the key and damaging facts in that particular case. The public, however, is usually so intrigued by the new information that it never even occurs to them. They never even think to pursue the matter any further. By the way, if you don't know that many of our three-letter agencies in America deliberately disinform the public, I'm telling you right now, you're on level 1 of being woke. You have no idea how deep this rabbit hole goes. Very quickly, I want to encourage you to get 2 books that will totally transform the way you view what happens behind the veil of secrecy here in America. Book number 1 is called Disinformation. I have it here. And book number 2 is called Surprise, Kill, Vanquish. And a little bonus book, a book I'm reading right now. You should get that too. It's actually really good. It's called Arguing with Socialists, for just a bonus book for good measure. So why am I talking about limited hangout right now? You see, Brett Baier, as you know, very popular Fox News host, said on his program this week that he had new information, basically exclusive information, new information that the virus may have leaked out of a BSL-4 lab in Wuhan. I'm just thinking to myself, are you crazy? We've literally been saying this from the very beginning. Actually, go ahead and play that clip showing what we've been saying over these past few months. We aren't being told the whole story, and that China is lying to us. Pull up that article. Look at this. Inside the Chinese lab poised to study world's most dangerous pathogens. Please take note of the year. And please take note of the city. This was almost 3 years ago. It'll be 3 years ago in just a couple of weeks. 22nd of February, 2017 in Wuhan, China. Ground zero for this new virus. Listen to what this article says. A laboratory in Wuhan is on the cusp of being cleared to work with the world's most dangerous pathogens. The move is part of a plan to build between 5 and 7 biosafety level 4 BSL-4 labs across the Chinese mainland by 2025. And it has generated much excitement as well as some concerns. Remember, this is from 2017. Some scientists outside China worry about pathogens escaping and the addition of biological dimension to geopolitical tensions between China and other nations. But Chinese microbiologists are celebrating their entrance to the elite cadre empowered to wrestle with the world's greatest biological threats. Great job, China. Think about that. The Chinese Academy of Sciences approved the construction of a BSL-4 laboratory in 2003. And the epidemic of SARS, severe acute respiratory syndrome, around the same time, it lent the project momentum. The lab was designed and constructed with French assistance as part of a 2004 cooperative agreement on the prevention and control of emerging infectious diseases. But this does not lend me any confidence what is said next. But the complexity of the project, China's lack of experience, difficulty in maintaining funding, and long government approval procedures meant that construction wasn't finished until 2014. Complexity of the project, China's lack of experience, these terms do not make my heart feel warm and fuzzy with what is currently taking place. Future plans include studying the pathogen that causes SARS before moving on to Ebola and the West African Lassa virus. Think about it. Ground zero of this new deadly virus is Wuhan, the only city in all of China. China is huge. The only city in all of China where coronavirus research was being conducted. Once again, this could be the biggest coincidence of our lifetime, or it's not a coincidence and we're being lied to. It could possibly be a Chinese bioweapon that got out. we're not being told the whole story. And there are massive cover-up fears that are mounting right now that we're going to get into. Listen, I really want to cut through the news. I want to tell you what I think you need to know, because I'll say this, you're not going to get it tonight on the 5 o'clock news. We're past, speaking of this coronavirus, we were past the point when this could have been contained, I believe, whenever it could have just blown over. Now, we talked about last week by a quick wave review that the origin of the virus likely came from a Chinese lab in Wuhan, China, and this lab was poised to study some of the world's most dangerous pathogens, studying them in something called a BSL-4 lab, a biosafety level 4 lab. The scientists took the North Carolina SARS with gain of function, which is already a biological warfare weapon, and they took the technology here behind this developed SARS HIV weapon that they got in Australia, and they brought it all back to Wuhan, the BSL-4 lab, and tried to DNA genetically engineer into a chimera, into a biological warfare weapon involving the coronavirus, the HIV virus, and gain of function. This could literally be the type of thing that like 5, 6, 10, 15, 20, 25 years down the road, that we are recalling back to this moment in February and March of 2020, right before it went crazy in America. So why the admission now from Brett Baier? Limited hangout. You see, the United States was just exposed by the CCP, by China's Communist Party. And so they're releasing a bit of truth so that we don't dig into this further. You see, the United States has continuously blamed China for the virus, and China got sick and tired of it. And they just partially ousted part of the deep state in America because of it, basically as a warning shot. You see, China is now admitting that the virus came from a lab in Wuhan, and that they were doing the experiments with grant money given them by none other than Dr. Anthony Fauci. It was given to them by the NIH through Dr. Anthony Fauci under Barack Obama's administration. Now, China, they do still stick with the narrative that it was an accident, but it leaked out through the lab. There's many articles, we don't have time to get into it, but one of the articles that exposed in part this was an article that was released through the Daily Mail, and it says U.S. government gave $3.7 million grant to Wuhan lab at Center of Coronavirus Leak Scrutiny that was performing experiments on bats from the caves where the diseases is believed to have originated. Isn't it crazy that my show and even some friends that I did 3 shows with on the Jim Baker Show with Skywatch TV panelists Derek and Sharon Gilbert, we were known as fringe, conspiracy, outer edge, Christian, conspiracy theorists, and yet we were 2-3 months ahead of any mainstream media outlets. You see, by China exposing this, they exposed part of the deep state in the United States, like I said, primarily in the NIH, and some are saying that this actually is, from China, it is a warning shot, a shot across the bow. We need to be keeping our eyes peeled for retaliation soon, but this is all a cover-up, and I wanted to share this explosive news with you this week. We're totally out of time. Listen, my goodness, this is just an incredible time for the ministry. Once again, consider partnering with us right now. Just incredible things on the horizon. I love you guys. I'm so appreciative of you, and I hope to give you a great report on what has come in next Friday. We'll see you next week.